Title: They Never Expected This. They threw you into the fire, convinced you would burn. They whispered behind closed doors, certain you would crumble under the weight. They watched you stumble once, maybe twice, and they made their decision. That's it, they thought. That's as far as you go. They never expected this. They expected your tears to drown you. They expected the betrayal to poison you. They expected the silence to break you. But what they didn't understand, what they couldn't see, was that something ancient lives inside you, something that doesn't die in the dark, something that doesn't beg when the world turns cold. And now, as you stand here, stronger, quieter, sharper, they are staring at a version of you they never prepared for, because they never expected this. At first, it looked like they were right. You were exhausted, confused, hurt. The ground beneath you felt unstable, like the earth itself had chosen to reject you. Doors closed, opportunities slipped. People you trusted turned into strangers wearing familiar faces. They thought that would be the end of you. They expected you to stay small. They expected you to stay bitter. They expected you to stay exactly where they left you. They thought your pain would freeze you in time. But while they were watching your fall, they weren't watching your rise. You see, they mistook your silence for weakness. They mistook your patience for surrender. They mistook your retreat for defeat. They never saw the storm gathering behind your calm eyes. And storms don't ask for permission. You didn't rise loudly. There was no announcement, no applause, no dramatic speech to the world. There was just you, alone, rebuilding, brick by brick. While they were celebrating your failure, you were studying your wounds. While they were gossiping about your mistakes, you were sharpening your mind. While they were convinced you had lost, you were learning. Pain became your teacher. Loneliness became your training ground. Silence became your strategy. Do you remember those nights? The ones where the ceiling felt heavier than the sky, when doubt tried to crawl into your thoughts and convince you to give up. You didn't quit. You stayed. You sat with your fear. You looked it in the eyes. You let it speak, and then you spoke louder. You turned heartbreak into hunger. You turned rejection into redirection. You turned betrayal into clarity. They never expected that. They expected revenge. They expected drama. They expected you to fight the way they fight, loud, reckless, desperate. But you chose evolution, and evolution is quiet until it's unstoppable. Something changed in you, not overnight, not in a single moment, but slowly, like a flame learning how to survive the wind. You stopped needing their approval. You stopped chasing their validation. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That was the first transformation. You realized something powerful. The same fire they tried to use to destroy you was the fire that was forging you. Steel doesn't complain about the furnace. It becomes stronger because of it. And you became unrecognizable. They remember the old you, the one who tolerated disrespect, the one who overextended, the one who gave and gave and gave. But that version of you, that version was a lesson. This version is a weapon. And then they started noticing the shift, the confidence, the way you walk into rooms now without shrinking, the way your silence feels intentional instead of wounded, the way your eyes don't search for approval anymore. They started whispering again. But this time it wasn't mockery. It was confusion. It was fear. Since when did they get so strong? Since when did they stop reacting? Since when did they stop caring? Did they really think you'd stay broken forever? Did they really think pain was permanent? They underestimated your resilience because they projected their limits onto you. They break under pressure. You transform under it. That's the difference. And now, the power has shifted. They can feel it. You no longer argue. You no longer chase. You no longer beg to be understood. Your energy is reserved, focused, sharp, and that unsettles them more than any revenge ever could. Because revenge is loud, it's emotional, it's temporary, but indifference is power. When you stopped needing them to see your worth, that's when they started noticing it. When you stopped trying to prove yourself, that's when your results started speaking. When you stopped asking for space, that's when you owned the room. They never expected you to glow in the dark they created. But here you are, glowing. There was a moment, maybe you remember it, when you realized you weren't angry anymore, not because what they did didn't matter, but because you outgrew it. That was your second transformation. You stopped fighting ghosts. You stopped replaying old conversations in your head. You stopped fantasizing about proving them wrong, because suddenly, you didn't need to. Your life became the proof. And the most powerful revenge? Peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you survived what was meant to destroy you. The kind of peace that doesn't flinch when they try to re-enter your life, pretending nothing happened. They never expected your boundaries. They never expected your calm. No, they never expected you to walk away without looking back. But growth is ruthless, and you grew. Look at yourself now, stronger, smarter, more disciplined. There's a fire in you, but it's controlled, focused, strategic. You don't burn everything around you anymore. You light your own path. And the irony? The very people who doubted you are now watching you with wide eyes. Some are silent because their pride won't let them admit they were wrong. Some are envious because they see what you've become and know they could never endure what you endured. Some are regretful, but you're free. You're no longer living in reaction to their actions. You're building, creating, expanding, and every step you take forward is a reminder. They never expected this. There will be moments when they try to test you again. A message, a comment, a subtle attempt to pull you back into old dynamics. But you've changed. You don't respond from emotion anymore. You respond from alignment. You don't chase chaos. You choose clarity. You don't fight for spaces that don't honor you. And that's what truly shocks them, because they were counting on your old patterns. They were counting on your need for closure. They were counting on your attachment. But you learned to let go without losing yourself. You learned that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You learned that not every battle deserves your energy. And that realization, that's a crown they can't take from you. Imagine them now, looking at your progress, watching your confidence, hearing your name in rooms they thought you'd never enter. There's a tension in their chest, because deep down they know. They were part of your story, but they were never the author. You were. Every setback they caused became a chapter of your strength. Every insult became fuel. Every doubt they planted turned into discipline. They thought they were ending you. They were introducing you to yourself. They never expected that the person they tried to belittle would become the standard. They never expected that the one they overlooked would outgrow them entirely. They never expected this level of calm dominance. And here's the truth. You didn't become powerful because you wanted to prove them wrong. You became powerful because you finally chose yourself. That's the real transformation. When you stopped asking, why did they do this to me? And started asking, what is this teaching me? When you stopped focusing on their betrayal and started focusing on your becoming, you realized something revolutionary. They were a chapter. You are the story. And now when you look back, you don't feel rage, you feel gratitude, because without their doubt, you might never have discovered your depth. Without their betrayal, you might never have strengthened your boundaries. Without their absence, you might never have found your independence. They never expected you to thank the storm. But storms reveal who can swim.